Hello everyone and welcome back to Ruby Lessons and Code Academy. So in the last lesson we started a project and today we're just going to go straight back into it. The project was on making a list of movies along with their ratings for us to find it more easily. So, the title is Error. Let's see. So alright, we're nearly done with the add part of our case. So as you remember, we were working on the add branch of our case tree stem, I guess you could call it. We learned that the case works slightly like if and else, but takes less time to write and can sometimes be more efficient. And it looks much nicer if there are loads of choices that can be made, such as in this case. So we established how we can enter the film that we are watching, but what do we do when we have a duplicate? We don't want to have any duplicates, so if we are getting a duplicate, then we want to tell the user that they're entering a duplicate film and that they already have the rating for that film. And we might even want to offer them to change the rating from that point instead of just telling them that information and having them check again. So let's see how we can do this. So it's telling us we can use an if-else statement in here. Add an if-else statement to the add branch of your case. If the movie isn't already in the hash, so that is, if movies the title that we are entering, .toSim, is nil, and we will learn that nil just means it's not there, it doesn't mean false. It should add the movie rating pair. Otherwise, it should put that the movie already exists and not add anything to the hash. That makes sense? So, which part of this is actually adding something? It's this part. Or no, not that part. Yes, it is that part actually. So, before we add that, what we can do is check the title with the if statement. Actually, before we even do the rating, we can check the title, because if they give us a title, we don't want to bother them having to enter the the rating, because they already have that title, and this is much more convenient for the user. I don't like user interfaces that make you enter something and then something else just to tell you that there's an error. So let's make this more user-friendly. So let's do if movies this so this is going to be the title to sim equals nil. Then I want to do the following. I want to do all of this. But otherwise I just want to output error. Else, or no, not error, but that's it. That it's already there. Else puts movie already exists. Hope I haven't. Okay, I have made syntax errors. If what was it? Was there a symbol after this? All I was missing was just the end there. And as you can see, I've already tested it, but let's do it on video. So what would you like to do? Let's do add. Let's add Back to the Future, because we already have that over here. So Back to the Future. Also, capitalization does matter, because in this case we are going to make it matter. And as you can see, movie already exists and it ends there. We made it like that so that the user doesn't have to enter the rating afterwards, because the movie already exists. We don't care what they want to rate it this time. We're not accepting it as input. Although what we could do is accept it as input and change the rating of the current movie that is in there without affecting or adding a new title. That's another thing we could do, but I'm not going to go into that right now unless I get a lot of requests, in which case I will do it for sure. But moving on. Update. Perfect, let's move on to the next branch of our case statement, which handles updating an existing movie in the hash. So this should be very similar to the work we did in the add branch, so we'll do this in 3 steps. Update. Inside your when update block, remove the puts updated statement. Well, I am going to keep it for the same reasons as I have here. And here I can actually even remove that, because we are done working on that section. We won't need to troubleshoot it anymore. We can just remove that. And there are so many spaces there for some reason. Okay. And that is all good. So let's look at the update. Inside your when update block, remove the put statement from the user for a movie title. Store it in title. So let's do puts. Please enter a movie title. Then we can do title equals gets.jump. If the movie title is nil, then the movie is not in the hash. Please put a string telling the user of their error. So if movies title, oops, I have no idea what I did there, equals nil, then the movie is not in the hash. Please put a string telling the user of their error. So the movie isn't there. Okay? Otherwise or else, I'm not going to forget the end this time because I'm going to put it in right now. There we go. Else, what do we want to do? We need to update the movies hash. Prompt the user for a new rating. Set the movies rating to that new value. So we need to update the movies hash. So we need to prompt the user. Please enter the movie. So we can basically just copy this whole branch in a way. But please enter the movie title. So we already have the movie title. Please enter the rating in this case of the movie, and then we do again gets.jump as rating. It's kind of hard to think on camera sometimes. Please enter the rating of the movie, and then we want to do movies title equals rating, and we want to make sure that rating is going to be a .2i, and also when we are getting the input of a title, we want to do title.toSym, so that we are comparing it to a symbol, which is the way that our titles are stored in the hash, because otherwise it's never going to be there because we are comparing it to a string. A string is never going to be equal to a symbol, however hard you try, without making it a symbol first. Which is why we have to do this line as well, even though it doesn't say it here, which is quite weird. And then we also want to do the rating there. And that is done. Updated. Let's just test it out when update. So let's do update. Please enter a movie title. So back to the future. Oh, okay. That's not doing it to itself. It looks like Back to the Future wasn't updated with a new rating. Well, we can easily sort this out. Equals title to sim. Should be fine anyway. And Back to the Future. Capital F. Rating of the movie, let's put it at a 3. Updated. Make sure you put updated and replace it with code to update the movies hash. Wow, are they really gonna do that on me? Let's also print out the whole hash just to make sure that it is doing what we want it to be doing before we do that. So movies dot each, then we have the block and xy, which stand for key and value, and we do puts x, y. Let's see. Update Back to the Future 3. And good. We have updated Back to the Future with to have a rating of 3. And before it had a rating of 4. So we have done that. And because it's working properly, we can even remove this troubleshooting step. Or actually, a better thing to do would be just to comment it out, so that if you do want to test it later on, you can just do that. That's kind of bothering me that it's there, but it's not working, but oh well. Okay, so let's just error out. Oh, okay. I guess it doesn't want us to do that. The movie isn't there. Moving on. Display. So with display, we just wanted to print everything out. We kind of have been already doing that. So, awesome, now let's handle displaying the contents of our movies hash. This will be a little different from what we did for the add and update branches. First remove the puts movies, then the user types display. So we want to remove that. I am just going to comment it out in this case. Next, iterate through the hash using the .each and puts each movie rating pair. The format should be something like that. So that's quite simple. We kind of did it twice already. .each, we have the block, and just to make it more readable this time, I am going to do movie and rating. And then we want to puts, and it wants us to do it in this format, so that's fine. Also notice that there is a space there because it looks much nicer if there is a space between the colon and the next word that there is. Then we want to do rating, and here we want to do movie. And that should all be fine. That's all we need to do for this one block. What would you like to do? Display? Good. That's the only film we have. We are satisfied. Moving on. Also, what actually we could do, which would be much better, is make this into a method on its own. Because as you saw, we used this method in here. We also used it in here just to troubleshoot. And it can be very useful to have, because we are using it 3 times, it would be inefficient to have it in 3 places. If you have it as a method, it would be much more efficient, just for the troubleshooting even. But because it wants us to do it like this, we are just going to leave it at that and move on. Delete. Now we want to delete a movie that we have entered. So how do we do that? Almost there. Let's handle the delete part of our case statement, which will remove whatever key the user specifies from the hash. This will be very similar to what we did for add and update. So also before we come onto this, I would like to say that there are probably many different ways to make this whole program work as well. So if you have done it in another way and it works great, that's still correct, as we have discovered in other places for programming. Just like we have blocks with do and end, or with curly braces. But let's see how to do this. Ruby makes it easy to remove a movie rating pair from our hash. We just write movies.delete title, where the title is going to be the key. Or the actual title in our case anyway. Instructions: go ahead and remove the puts deleted when the user types delete. I'm just going to comment it out. It doesn't really matter what you do. Okay, get the title from the user. And title equals gets.jump. Include an if-else statement that puts an error if the movie is not in the hash. If it is there, then just delete to remove it as shown above. So if it displays nil, so we want to do if movies of title equals nil, then we want to do puts the movie doesn't exist, full stop, and else it's definitely going to exist. I am going to put the end here. Else we want to put, well, I can put deleted here, but before that we actually need to do the delete method. So movies.delete, and we want to do title, and because we have the variable title here, that should be fine. But before we get title, we want to convert it to a symbol, because otherwise it's never going to be there, for the same reason as I described previously for the, what was it, for the add function, or for the update function actually it was, for the update branch anyway, not function. And that should be fine. What would you like to do? Delete. Let's delete back to the future. Capital F. Good. Deleted. It does what we want it to do. How do we check? Well, we can just easily copy and paste this over. Indentation doesn't matter. Please enter the movie title. Good, there is nothing in the hash. That's what two curly braces next to each other mean. And that means that we can also just delete that and get to the last part of this section. Fantastic, you built a little app with only a few dozen lines of code. Impressive, isn't it? So, what? That's 5.5 dozen lines of code, if my maths is correct. The 4 verbs your program knows, add, display, update, and delete, are universal. This acronym is better known as CRUD, for create, read, update, and delete, respectively. So these are the actions you take when you update an entry in a database, ask a website for information, or write a blog post. Being similar with this setup is good because you'll see it in everything from API calls to web frameworks like Ruby on Rails. So as I mentioned at the start of this, I think that it was at the start of the last video actually, things like this are used in databases quite a bit, because databases do require a program to work properly, if you will. Instructions, feel free to play around with your program until you've got it running just the way you like it. Maybe add a more specific else message than just error. You can do that. When you're ready, click Save and Submit Code to complete this project. So if you are playing around with it, do feel free to leave comments and to ask me questions about it. If you're having some trouble, I don't mind answering them. I'll answer them as soon as possible, as I've said many times before. But yeah, there we go. We have done it, we get our badge, and we are happy. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, a like and a subscribe would be very much appreciated, so would a share. And yeah, that's going to be it. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.